Hello, fellow food lovers. Today I will be making a Chinese vegan dish, Seitan, also known as wheat gluten, with lotus root, Gingko nut, and mung bean vermicelli stir fry. You will need 1 medium lotus root bulb, 1 can of seitan, pick a can that has the large pieces, half a cup of Gingko nut, and 1 small bundle of mung bean vermicelli, about 40 grams dried. For the sauce, you will need 1 tablespoon of minced ginger, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of vegetarian oyster sauce, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. So this is the can of wheat gluten, or seitan. This is made by Companion. They make a lot of the wheat gluten in China. So this particular can says mock duck, so it's supposed to look like pieces of duck inside. They're fairly large pieces. You want to tear them so that there's actually 10 to 12 pieces total for this dish. I think there's just 3 or 4 big pieces in the can, so you might want to tear each piece in half or into 3 pieces. Okay, so I have Gingko nuts. You will find them in the produce aisles or in the refrigerated aisles. Normally when you're not using it, you have to keep it in the refrigerator. So we're going to use about half a cup of that. Yeah, so half a cup of Gingko nuts. And this is the mung bean vermicelli. It's like a dried noodle made from mung beans. So we need 1 small bundle, about 40 grams. And you don't need to soak it in water before you use it. It'll be boiled in broth. Okay, so I have a small piece of ginger here. I'm going to cut the skin off, and I'm going to mince it up. Okay, so I have a medium lotus root bulb. So I rinsed it in the water, and then I'm going to use a vegetable peel to take the skin off. So once the skin is peeled off, I'm going to cut the ends off. And then I'm going to slice it into slices. So for a stir fry, you want to cut it into as thin of a slice as you can, because it'll help to cook it faster. I know if you're making a lotus root soup, you're going to cut it into thick slices because it's going to boil for a while and it'll be nice and soft. But for a stir fry, you want to cut it as thin as possible. Okay, so let's get cooking. I've got a wok that's on high heat. I added 2 tablespoons of 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. And then I'm adding the ginger to that. So you want to stir fry the ginger for maybe 30 seconds, not very long. It'll burn quite quickly if you don't watch it. So when it just starts to turn just a little bit golden brown, you can add the ginkgo nuts. So the ginger is fried in the oil to kind of flavor the oil so that when the sauce is made, it kind of gives the sauce a kind of ginger flavor. So you want to stir fry the ginkgo nuts for maybe about 2 minutes. So once the ginkgo nuts been frying for about 2 minutes, you're going to add the lotus root. So you want to kind of spread it out over the bottom of the wok so that as much surface area can be cooked as possible. And you want to turn it over as well in a few minutes just so that both sides are cooked. Okay, so after a few minutes of stir frying the lotus root, you're going to make the sauce. So you're going to add 1 cup of water. And you add the sauces. So 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. One tablespoon of vegetarian oyster sauce. One teaspoon of sugar. And 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. So you want to stir that around, mix the sauces into the water. And then you're going to add that 1 small packet of mung bean vermicelli. So you want to put it in the bottom of the wok so it's covered in the water. The mung bean vermicelli will have to boil in the water for 3-4 minutes before it's cooked. And once it softens, you kind of want to open up the mung bean vermicelli so it's kind of spread out. Okay, so a few minutes have passed by. You want to give the mung bean vermicelli a last stir, and then you're going to put a lid on it. And you can actually steam the lotus root and everything else for about 3-4 minutes. Okay, so after 3-4 minutes, I removed the lid. So check the water. If it's low in water, add another 1/4 cup or another 1/2 cup because you don't want it to be dry. Okay, now I'm going to add the wheat gluten. Give that a stir. The wheat gluten is cooked. You can actually eat it right out of the can. So you just want to heat it up, and that's pretty much it. So the dish is pretty much done. So with this dish, you don't need to make a cornstarch slurry to make the sauce. Most of the sauce is going to be absorbed into the mung bean vermicelli anyway. So it'll be just a bit of a wet sauce on the bottom that is totally fine. Yeah, so no cornstarch slurry, no thickening of the sauce at all for this dish. Again, this is a nice dish to have with rice. There you have it. That's seitan or wheat gluten with lotus root, ginkgo nut, and mung bean vermicelli. Okay, bon appetit.